Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we blackmail military personnel.
And pull guns on people willingly all the time. Because that happened a lot in this serial.
Every transition from every intro ever is, because that happened in this serial. But there's always that awkward pause where we're like, so what do we say now? Oh well.
It's a running tradition at this point.
I guess.
Just go with it.
I guess, I mean, alright.
It's like our staple intro thing. Right, yeah. But this week we watched the Highlanders, the last historical serial for 20 years, basically.
I don't think it was 20 years.
It was like 16 years or something like that.
Really? I thought it was like 10.
No, the next one's in 82, and this is from...
67?
Yeah.
66, 67.
So, math.
That's like 15 years.
Okay. Still, long time, and the next historical serial is going to be with the Fifth Doctor, I think.
Yeah, believe so. Black Orchid.
But yeah, I'm glad to see them go.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't like the historical serials that much. There were a few...
This one was good.
Okay, this one was good, and there were a few other good ones, but like, Reign of Terror...
Massacre was funny.
Massacre of St. Bartholomew's
Okay, that one
Eve.
was just bad.
Come on.
Marco Polo.
Alright, Marco Polo was good. There were a few good ones, I'll admit, but overall, I liked them less than the sci-fi ones.
Fair enough, fair enough.
But yeah, this serial begins with...
The Doctor.
No, it begins with the... It actually doesn't begin with the Doctor this time.
Hey, I watched this like 5 days ago. I actually didn't procrastinate for once.
And I did, yeah. No, it begins with the war.
Oh yeah, it begins with
scene
the
thing.
battle scene.
Yeah, and an English soldier dies.
Right off the bat.
yeah.
Although, surprisingly, for a serial set in the midst of a war, very few people die.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising actually, but yeah, this guy dies. He's killed by a Scot or something.
A Highlander.
I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't friendly fire or anything.
I mean, it was a reconstruction, so, it might have been. Worst way to die. Friendly fire.
But yeah, then it cuts to the Doctor and co, who have materialized. And as soon as the Doctor steps out of the TARDIS, he's like, let's leave. And I think this is the first time he's ever said anything like that. Did you catch that?
No, but I did catch the cannonball whizzing by and I went, huh.
That was your only reaction to a cannonball almost killing our three main characters?
Well, I assumed they wouldn't kill the second Doctor with a cannonball.
That's how Polly goes, steps out of the TARDIS and gets hit by a cannonball. No.
Better ride out than Vicky.
It's true.
Oh.
But yeah, they walk a little ways off and find like a cannon itself, and Ben thinks they're in England. He's close because they're in Scotland.
Right.
But they're obviously in the midst of some war, and the Doctor sees a hat, and he puts it on, and then he's like, "What is this?" And he throws it down.
Well, first he's like, "I'd like a hat like this," but then he looks at it closer, and he's like, "What is this?" It throws it on the ground, and then like Alexander walks up, and he's like, "Yo, what you doing? Pick up that hat." And the Doctor's like, "Okay."
Yes, apparently it was Prince Charles's hat, and the Scots didn't want the Doctor to disrespect it or something. So they take them back to the shed where they're hiding out because the English are apparently in control of the field or something. So there's just a few Scots left, and they're hiding in this shed thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess they realize that the doctor and Ben and Polly are English, so they're like, let's kill them.
Well, but then the doc's like, wait, I'm a doctor. And they're like, oh, we need a doctor. This guy's injured. Delayed. And so the doc's like, all right, I'll help. Polly, Kirsty, go get some water. And then the redcoats show up.
Well, no, Ben for some reason thinks it's a good idea to take one of the guy's guns and pull it on them. And he does that.
But then the doc's like, Ben, calm down, put the gun down. So he's like, all right. So he puts the gun down and it goes off, and that brings all the redcoats to the house because Ben doesn't know how guns work.
Going, Ben. Yeah, so the redcoats want to hang everyone.
And they basically almost do.
Yeah, they're about to kick the blocks out from under their feet when Polly and Kirsty return, and they're like, whoa, we have to stop this. So they distract the English.
And then they run away and go hide in a cave.
Yeah, they go hide in this cave. And the commanding officer, Finch, spelled with two F's.
No, it's pronounced for Finch.
It is?
Because it's got two F's, yep. That's how Polly pronounced it the whole serial. For Finch.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And I specifically noticed it because I thought the reconstruction text was wrong because it had two F's. But then there was the scene where Polly took his ID card and was like, Algernon for Finch. And I was like, oh, that's how you say it.
Okay, then. So, for Finch follows them. And meanwhile, these other two guys, Gray and his assistant Perkins, are like surveying the battlefield. And they're like, it's a shame to see all these Scots hung when they could be used as manual labor. So Gray is like a lawyer or something, and he walks up to the scene where the doctor and Ben are about to be hung. And he takes all of everyone there into like custody.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we also didn't mention that the doctor is posing as a
Dr.
German.
Van Meer.
Yeah, or
something like that.
Von Ver or
Van
something.
Ver. Loosely translates to Doctor Who in German.
Right, so they're all taken away, the Doctor and Ben with the Scots. And meanwhile, Polly and Kirsty are in a cave, and Polly's talking about selling their stuff to pay for some food and whatever. And she suggests selling the gold ring that Kirsty has, but Kirsty doesn't want to because her father entrusted her with it.
So Polly's like, all right. And then Polly's like, I'm going to go get some stuff.
Oh, I thought she walked away in anger because she was like pissed that Kirsty didn't want to sell the ring.
No, what was that combined with the fact that Kirsty was like, we can't do anything. We're just like woman hiding out in a cave. And Polly's like, are you all as useless as this? And she like walks away. And then she screams and falls in the hole and episode 1 ends.
Yep. And apparently you were supposed to see a dagger appear on screen at the end of episode 1. But I didn't notice it because it was a reconstruction. Yeah. But yeah, in episode 2 you find out it was just Kirsty holding the dagger.
And then she falls in the hole. And then you're just like, Polly, why? Kirsty, why?
But it's okay, because apparently they can get out of the hole by standing on each other's backs, which they don't.
Because Kirsty's not down. Kirsty is not down.
She just wants to stay there forever, apparently. But it doesn't matter anyway, because then Finch shows up. And Polly thinks it's a good idea to lure him into the hole with them. Even though he's armed.
So they do, and he falls in, and they steal his gun, and then they steal his ID card and all his money. And poor Finch is like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this to me? And they're like, well, we gotta save our friends.
Okay, but let's be honest. Most incompetent soldier ever. And I liked the part where Polly suggests pulling Finch down into the hole with them. And Kirsty's like, no, that's a terrible idea. And then when they do, Kirsty immediately takes his gun. She's like, don't move or I'll blow your brains out. She literally says that. And I was just like, what? But yeah, I ended up feeling pretty bad for Finch by
Yeah.
the end of this serial.
And not just because of this, just because of everything else that happens to him.
Yeah.
But he does get a lucky break in the end. We got to give him that, and
He
we'll
does.
get there. So now, with back to Doctor and Ben and the Laird and Jamie, who's going to become important later. So they've all been taken to, I guess, like some sort of prison or like a holding cell.
I thought it was, well, there was that inn, right? They were in this
Right.
inn for like a long time, and I thought the prison was like under, like in a basement or something.
Yeah, it could
underneath the
be.
inn. That's what I assumed because they were kind of just in that inn that whole time. But yeah,
And so they're in this like holding cell, I guess, and there's like a tide line on the wall that's like above all of their heads. So either Ben or the doctor's like, I don't want to drown here. This is terrible. And so the doctor's still caring for the Laird, and he discovers Prince Charles's whatchamacallit,
his flag or his
yeah,
emblem or something.
has a specific name, but
Yeah,
I
it
don't remember
did.
what it was. It just hiding in the Laird's jacket.
Right.
So the doctor convinces the guard to let him out because he knows of a plot to kill like the Duke of Cumberland.
Yeah, and which infuriates everyone else there because
Yeah, they think
don't
the
trust him.
doctor's just getting out, and then Ben's like, "Guys, chill. The doctor's got a plan." And so the doctor,
oh god, this.
second doctor is so manipulative. So the doctor goes, well, like right before the doctor goes into Solicitor Gray's room, Solicitor Gray tells Captain Trask to take all the prisoners onto his ship, the Annabelle. So Trask's like, all right, let's do this. And so the doctor comes into Gray's room. The Standard. It's the Prince's
Yeah, the
Standard. There you go. And so he shows Gray the Standard. And he's like, I know of a plot to kill the Duke of Cumberland. And then Gray's like, And the doctor's like, well, 30,000 guineas for the both of us. Could be a good price if you listen to me. And Gray's like, all right. And then the doctor just throws the flag over Gray's head and ties him up and throws him in the cupboard.
Right, and there's that one specific part where Gray's already bound, but I guess the doctor wants to gag him too, so he's like, your throat seems a little sore, and Gray's like, but how would you know that? He's like, well, say "ah" for me, and he does, and then he gags him. I was like, wow, doctor.
And then Perkins comes in. Perkins like, where's Gray? And then the doctor's like, do you have a headache? And Perkins is like, no. So he just takes Perkins' head and hits it against the table. He's like, you sure you don't have a headache? And Perkins is like, no. And he hits his head against the table again. He's like, you sure about that? And Perkins is like, yes, I have a headache now. And then the doctor's like, must be your eyes. Yes, you need to rest your eyes for 1 hour. Now close your eyes and don't open them. Remember, 1 hour. And then he leaves.
Second Doctor, evil mastermind.
Second Doctor is pretty dark, to be honest.
He is. And once again, this serial ends on a lighthearted note, but we'll get to that.
Well, vaguely lighthearted.
Okay. There was that little quip at the end.
Okay, anyway.
Whatever. So the Doctor is now wandering around throughout the inn or wherever they are, and Trask walks into Gray's room, and he confronts Perkins about why he's just sitting there doing nothing, and he finds Gray in the closet, and he's like, "What are you guys doing? Come on!"
And then, meanwhile, back at the hole, for Finch, it's just for Finch now.
Yes.
And like the sergeant shows up, and for Finch like, please, dude, help me out, man. Get me out of here. And the sergeant's like, well, it would be a big pain for the men to help a man out of a hole. They might not be used to it. And Finch's like, dude, come on, man. I'll give you some money here. Oh, dang, they took it all. I'll give you some money when we get to the town. And the sergeant's like, I don't know, man. It might be a little weird.
Yeah.
And then like episode 2 ends.
Poor Finch.
Oh no, episode 2 ends after the doctor disguises himself.
Right, the doctor is hiding in the kitchen, and once everyone leaves, he disguises himself in women's clothing and
As
pretends to
an
be
old lady.
Yep. Ends up working to his advantage, so...
This is the
Yeah.
most convoluted Doctor plan in the history of Doctor Who so far. Excluding the reboot, but...
And I'm pretty sure he only made it convoluted because he wanted to. Based on what he said last serial and just some of the stuff that happens. Could have had so much of an easier time, but
Maybe.
yeah.
But it was more fun this way.
It's true.
So, episode 3, the Doctor's disguised. He's just like walking around, drinking.
And he wants to, or no, first he sees Polly and,
Right, because they've come into town.
Yeah, they're looking for Ben and the Doctor, and they're now in the inn.
Uh-huh.
And, wasn't Finch also there?
Finch was in the inn, and Polly and Kirsty were about to be outed, so they headed over to Finch like, hey, you're a nice man. And Finch's like, not again.
And one of the other guards or soldiers walks up to Finch, and he's about to tell him to get out, but then Polly and Kirsty say that they knew him from before, and then he's about to like tell them what happened, but they're like, you wouldn't want to do that, would you? You wouldn't want to tell everyone that you were captured and fell into an animal trap, would you? And he's like, oh god.
So yeah.
Yep.
And then Perkins shows up, and Polly and Kirsty are looking for Grey, so they ask Perkins where Grey is. And then Perkins manipulates them into staying by like, you wouldn't want me to out who you are, would you? You're gonna stay here and play cards with me. And then the Doctor, still as an old lady, comes over, and then Perkins is like, old lady, go away. And then the Doctor's like, are your eyes still troubling you? And Perkins is like, the Doctor.
And the Doctor has a gun at this point.
Oh, yeah. And he's just like, don't move, Perkins. Oh, shoot.
Dark second Doctor. But yeah, he tells Perkins to stay there for 10 minutes while he, Polly, and Kirsty go do some other stuff.
And Perkins drinks a shot to calm his nerves after they leave, I guess.
So, Polly and Kirsty, where did they go at this point?
They go to the barn that they were hiding out in before. Because when they got to the town, they were hiding out in the barn. And Kirsty was like, you want us to be orange sellers? And Polly was like, yep. So they went back to that barn, and that's when the Doctor finds out that the ring that Kirsty has is actually the ring of Prince Charles. Because the Laird saved Prince Charles's life on the battlefield, so he gave the Laird the ring, and then the Laird gave Kirsty the ring to hang on to.
Right, and that's also why the Laird has the standard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I was kind of confused here, because I thought they had mentioned that Kirsty was the Laird's daughter before, but this scene was kind of, I felt, supposed to be a reveal of that, so I didn't know if it was or not.
I was pretty sure they mentioned it before, too.
Yeah. They kind of had this scene set up as a reveal, but I don't know. Maybe if you'd forgotten, because, I mean, it was, if you were watching in the 60s, it would have been 2 weeks ago. So...
Oh, yeah, in the ship. The scene where Ben tears up the contracts.
Oh, yeah. Well, we might want to mention first the scene where they're in the barn and Kirsty and Polly are like, we have to go save Ben and stuff, but the Doctor just wants to sleep.
Well, considering he's been awake for like 2 days at that point.
That's true.
You know, like, fair point, he wants to sleep.
I guess. I didn't think of that. I was just like, wow, Doctor, you want to sleep now? Great timing.
But anyway, so Ben and the peeps are on the ship, and Grey, I guess, is trying to run a sort of legitimate operation, and he brings them all contracts.
No, I mean, it was a slavery ring, let's be honest.
He's bringing them contracts to make it look legit, and Ben's like, can I read that? So he, like, reads it, and then he tears it up, and Grey's like, curse you, Ben!
They're contracts to sign yourself into indentured servantry in the American colonies.
And so they're like, nope. And Gray's like, well, better go write some more. Perkins, let's go.
And I think he asides to Trask that Ben and all the others who didn't want to sign are going to hang or something like that.
Yeah.
Because Trask is like his partner in crime or whatever. He's the one shipping them all to the colonies.
The Barbados.
The Barbados. The Barbara.
So, eventually the doctor's like, all right, I've got like sort of a plan and it probably won't even work, but like we can try, I suppose.
Right, they need to go get some weapons first of all. So they go do that, and Polly and Kirsty come back and they barely have anything. They have like a few rusty knives. The doctor comes back with a wheelbarrow full of like muskets and
swords. And they're like, where'd you get that, doctor? Did you rob the armory? And he's like, well, something like that. And then on the ship, they like tie Ben to the mast and like throw him overboard to drown.
Right, wasn't there that... There was the scene where they locked the 4 people who didn't want to sign the contracts in the hold, and there was some sort of reveal there, but what was it? It was,
I don't know, but they throw Ben overboard to drown him, right. And then episode 3 ends.
Yeah.
And then episode 4 starts, and they bring up the rope, and Ben's not at the end of it. So, that's how Ben dies. Moving on.
Yep. So meanwhile, the doctor and... No.
No, okay, Ben surfaces on the other side of the boat, and then swims to the shore, and... There's an English soldier with his gun on Ben, and then the soldier reveals it's the doctor.
Yep.
Second Doctor Master of Disguise.
And Ben is like, oh, thank goodness, doctor. And now they have they devise, or they put into action their plan to free all the prisoners.
Operation Give All the Prisoners Guns and Swords.
So the doctor and the doctor has specific roles for everyone, but Polly and Kirsty, mainly Polly, aren't pleased with those roles, and they want to do more, but I don't think they end up doing more.
They do, because the doctor originally wanted them to stay in the barn and not do anything, but then eventually they end up going on the rowboat with Ben to give the weapons to the colony, to the peeps.
Still, they don't exactly do much.
So
anyway,
the plan is, as it's executed.
The plan is pretty simple, actually. It's row out in a rowboat in the middle of the night, pass some weapons through the window. Someone will go onto the ship, and the doctor goes onto the ship to distract Gray, and then the now weapon wielding prisoners will spring an attack. And that's what they do. The doctor goes onto the ship, tells Gray that the Prince Charles is in the hold. In the hold, and Gray's like, "You're lying," but the doctor's like, "I'll show you who he is."
So they go down,
and the prisoners spring their attack.
And then there's a sword fight that you imagine like. It could have gone way better, because weren't there muskets in that doctor's stash of stuff? Didn't the prisoners have muskets?
I don't know.
But there's a sword fight, and does somebody die? We don't know.
Because it was a reconstruction, so we couldn't tell what was going on.
So we're gonna say no.
Trask, we do know for a fact that Trask gets thrown overboard.
But we
can't confirm that he dies.
So we're gonna assume no? We forgot to mention Alexander at some point ends up getting killed, and then another Highlander...
Right, that was way back in the first episode.
Yeah, he gets killed, and then a Highlander gets killed when they're rowing out to the boat. They throw him overboard to make an example of everyone. He ends up drowning, so...
Yeah. 3 people dead. 3 people dead. Yeah.
So the prisoners take hold of the ship, and Perkins is like, you want me to come with you? I can speak French. And the doctor's like, yes, he'll be very loyal. Until the wind changes again!
And then Perkins spits in Gray's face as they're taking him away. He's like, you don't know how happy it's made me to finally be able to do that.
And the doctor and Coat take Gray as a prisoner, and they head to shore, and their plan is to try and make it back to the TARDIS.
Right, going through the enemy's lines by having Gray as prisoner, obviously.
And then Jamie shows up,
Right. Jamie is now, yes.
stuck on land. He's like, I thought you'd need a guide. I can survive here. And they're just like, thanks, Jamie, but wow.
So they're making their way through the town or whatever, and they see some soldiers. So they decide to hide out in the, I guess it's in the barn they were in before.
Mm-hmm.
So they do that, and Gray is gagged again, but he manages to get the attention of the soldiers, and they free him. But the doctor and everyone runs away.
And yeah.
So they meet back up with Finch,
who's hanging out outside the inn.
right? Because everyone hates him now. Thanks, Polly and Kirsty. But yeah, they take him prisoner now.
Well, the like sergeant shows up and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing for Finch?" And then the doctor's like, "Well, we were just gonna show this man where the prince is hiding out." And then because he had the ring again, the doctor still had the ring. And the sergeant's like, "Well, I'll send some men with you." He's like, "No, this will be fine. For Finch and us, we got this." And the sergeant's like, "Well, what are you waiting for? Go then." So for Finch is like,
Poor Finch. Okay, last serial we said, what's his name was the most tragic character on this show, but no, Finch is the most tragic character on this show. But anyway, they're just going about their merry way, and then Gray shows back up with a few more soldiers and orders them to arrest everyone. But Polly and
Ben
Ben
and the doctor, I guess,
well,
and Jamie.
Everyone, I guess, has just told Finch about Gray's slavery ring, so he reveals that, and the the guards arrest Gray. So it all works out.
Well, Gray's like, no, I have contracts, see? And he like searches his pockets and he doesn't have them, so he like curses. And so they arrest him, and then the dog's like, wonder where his contracts could have gone. And then he pulls them out of his pocket, and Ben's like, "Oh, doctor, you sly fox."
And the doctor's like, "No, I really don't know how they got there."
And then you're just like,
does he actually
BS.
not know?
BS, he knew. So then Jamie is like, "Yep, all right, peace." But then they're like, "No."
Then they just decide, no, he's coming with them.
Well, Polly was like, "Can we take him with us, doctor?" And Jamie's like, "Uh-huh." And the doc's like, "Only if he teaches me how to play the bagpipes." And Jamie's like, "All right."
He doesn't even say all right, though. I thought, like, up until the very end,
He did say, yeah. He did say he'd teach the doctor how to play bagpipes. I remember that much.
He definitely didn't know what he was getting into, though.
So he's apparently a long-running companion, according to the wiki.
Yep. So, yeah, Jamie's now a companion. And
yeah, they go into the TARDIS and they pull the whole "let's take him into the TARDIS and don't show his reaction" thing again. Just like they did with Ben and Polly.
And no, that was it.
Yeah, the TARDIS leaves and then it ends.
Yeah.
Because next episode's probably going to start with Jamie going, "Guys, what is this?"
Are you serious, guys? We're time traveling.
Except with a Scottish accent.
Yes. Which I'm not even going to try to attempt, because I'm probably going to ruin it and piss a bunch of people off. No, probably not a bunch of people.
We have like 16 subscribers. The chance that one of them is Scottish is very slim. But, yeah, so I think he's the first companion with an accent that's not English, so...
And the first companion to basically be kidnapped. Unless you count Barbara and Ian.
Yeah, Barbara and Ian were definitely kidnapped.
But yeah, overall, for a historical serial, this was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of glad the historical serials went out on a good note. And not, like, massacre level bad terribleness.
The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve was just disappointing. So much potential wasted.
But yeah, I was actually, after finishing this, I was actually thinking of which historical serials I actually did like. And I came up with this one I liked a lot. Marco Polo was obviously really good. What were the other ones?
Reign of Terror?
No.
Aztecs?
The Gunfighters. I liked that one a lot. And
what other ones? Could you count an Unearthly Child as a historical serial? You
I,
could, hypothetically.
I guess. I mean, then you would probably want to count the War Machines as a historical serial too. Well, maybe not because it had that whole computer takes over everything aspect. um, but yeah, I know you liked Reign of Terror a lot, and I kind of didn't.
Reign of Terror was fun.
Had a
That was
lot
the
of fun.
first time we saw any hints of disguises and the Doctor being manipulative like he was in this serial.
Yep. And hats also playing a big part. They did in this serial.
True
at the
MVP
beginning.
of Doctor Who, the Doctor's hat. Let's give a round of applause for the Doctor's hat.
Really terrible round of applause. The mics probably didn't even pick that up.
Where did the Doctor's hat actually come from in this serial? Because he disguised as that woman, and then he was like, I'm going to sleep. And then his hat was on him again.
The Doctor works in mysterious ways.
He definitely wasn't wearing it when he left the TARDIS. I'm on to you, Doctor. I'm on to you. Yeah, so I actually like watching the second Doctor in a weird way.
Yeah, the second Doctor, I've noticed in both of the serials so far, has done a bunch of really dark stuff and then ended it on such a light-hearted note. Like as if he didn't know what he was doing or as if he had no idea what was going on. And then he makes some sort of joke at the end every time. So I kind of hope that continues, actually.
Yeah, well, I was reading, as I was looking for a picture of the second Doctor, I was reading that apparently this is the start of the era where Doctor Who was criticized for, like, being unnecessarily dark and violent. It started with the second Doctor. Because apparently the second Doctor is actually pretty manipulative and really dark during his run.
Yeah, I mean, he has, 3 more years to prove himself.
I guess he's here for 3 seasons. 3 seasons? Does he? I think he regenerates at the end of season 6.
But we can...
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's here for the next...
2 seasons at least, plus the rest of season 4.
Right, which spans about 2.5 years, I'm guessing, according to what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, well, he starts just at the end of 66, and then he would run through the start of 69. So yeah, 2.5 years.
But yeah, after these 2 serials, I have to say I'm looking forward to seeing what more the second Doctor has up his sleeve.
Yeah, I mean, I miss the first Doctor, that grandfatherly-like guy, but I'm also enjoying how just energetic and partially insane the second Doctor is.
Yeah, like the first Doctor wouldn't have pulled any of this crap. Which makes it interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see these situations where you're like, hey, the first Doctor wouldn't have done that, but then the second Doctor's like, I'm going to dress up as a woman and convince Perkins to let me go, because I have a gun.
Yeah, and I feel the second Doctor...
Although I'd like to point out that the second Doctor is still against violence, because he reveals in the barn that the gun was unloaded, and he wasn't actually going to kill Perkins.
Right, we didn't mention that, which was actually a big part of that scene.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. Actually didn't have anything to say.
Yeah.
But that's that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we're going to see where the second Doctor goes, although I'm excited, and I can definitely... So I was planning on mentioning this, and I just remembered, but the second Doctor, the actor who played the 6th and the actor who played the 11th Doctors, their favorite Doctor is the second Doctor, and I can already see the influence that the second Doctor has on the 11th Doctor, but we'll talk about that when we get to the reboot. But I just thought that was cool.
Are we really going to talk? Well, we probably are.
We're probably
not going to remember this specific instance where we said we talk about it.
But we will talk about it when we get to the reboot, probably, because that's like an important part of the 11th Doctor, was apparently his influence from the second Doctor. Like, the reason why the 11th Doctor wears a bow tie was because his favorite Doctor was the second, and the second wore a bow tie.
It's also interesting that since there is such a gap between the end of the original and the start of the reboot, that people who work on the new series or actors in the new series were probably fans of the original.
Right.
Or
like Peter Capaldi 12th Doctor was a huge fan of Doctor Who when he was young, and like drew fan art and everything. And his favorite Doctor was the 3rd Doctor. So we're gonna see if there was influences there too.
Right. Well, you will, because I'm not watching the reboot yet.
So yeah.
But we also wanted to mention that we have a Facebook now.
Yeah, you can probably find it somewhere. It's either under Trust Your Doctor or Decorative Vegetable. I think it's going to be under Trust Your Doctor.
Yeah, trust your doctor.
So you can find us. You should like it because Kiyan's going to be doing stuff on it.
Right, we'll post episode updates, random bits of trivia that we find interesting. Nothing spoilery, obviously.
Right. Because we spoil it all when we talk about it on the weekends anyway. So.
Yep. And when we accidentally read the spoilerific wiki and spoil things for ourselves.
Spoiled that Jamie became a companion at the end of the serial for me. Because I wanted to check if the Highlander actually died when he was thrown overboard. Then you like skim the intro paragraph and it's like, it introduced Jamie, a male companion. I was like, dang you.
But right, we'll be posting, as we said, episode updates, trivia-ish stuff, and just things we find interesting about the show.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check that out. And as always, you know you should.
Check out the website, rate us on iTunes, check us out on iTunes, send us emails at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com, questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, fan art
Stuff.
I don't know how you'd make fan art of us since you don't know what we look like. But maybe you do. You might. And that brings us to what we're watching next week.
Right, The Underwater Menace. So that should be interesting to see where the 2nd Doctor goes from here. But until then, the end.